everybody, and welcome back. And if you're new here, my name is Gerald. I am a meteorology major at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and thank you for joining me today. We've got a lot to talk about today in terms of weather, and something I'm super excited to talk about in today's video is the chance of snow returning to the East Coast. And we could be looking at a pretty active pattern in terms of snow, with maybe rounds of storms working their way through the east as we go further into January. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe. We are getting very close to 300 at the time of recording this video, and we have super big plans for this channel, so I'd love for you to go ahead and join us on this journey. But let's go ahead and get into the weather, because we have a lot to talk about here today. So looking at satellite right now, you can tell we still have this low pressure just kind of stuck in the northern plains. It's been sitting there really for a couple days now, just bringing rounds of snow showers throughout areas like Minneapolis, Des Moines, even into Omaha, Nebraska. Another thing to notice here on satellite, though, is this convective line of storms down here working their way through the southeast, and that has prompted multiple tornado warnings today, and even a couple confirmed tornadoes through South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina, and also some flooding back here into the mountains. But those showers and storms are also working their way through the northeast currently, so we will touch on that and look at when we could potentially get this weather to clear up moving ahead in time. So looking at our hazards currently, again, just a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings left over into eastern North Carolina, southeastern Virginia, and into sections of northern Florida here. Those will begin to push off the coast, and as we get into this evening, we should be fine, and that severe weather threat should finally be over after multiple days of dealing with that. Also have winter weather advisories left over here in the plains, as that low pressure is still just kind of stuck there producing snow showers. And then also winter weather advisories here into New England, as we could be seeing some ice and snow there into tonight and going into Thursday. So let's go ahead and take a look at that futurecast throughout all of these areas. Again, currently here along the southeast coast, most of those storms are now just confined down here to sections of Florida and then up through Savannah. But by the time you're watching this, most of these storms should be off the east coast, besides maybe some showers left over into parts of central Florida. But going into tomorrow afternoon, quite a pleasant day here across the southeast. Maybe some showers and storms once again left over here into central Florida, from Tampa down to Fort Myers and up towards Orlando. But nothing that will be a complete washout all day. So overall, a pleasant day throughout the southeast tomorrow. As we go ahead and look at the mid-Atlantic here, again, this is pretty good representation of what radar looks like right now. A couple cells left into Virginia and even North Carolina that you can't quite see on this representation. But by the time you're watching this, those should be pushing off the coast anyway. And as we get into sunset tonight, some leftover showers and drizzle across sections of the mid-Atlantic here, but I think most of that rain will be confined up towards New England from Pennsylvania up through Maine. As we get into tomorrow morning around sunrise, overall a lot drier here across the mid-Atlantic. Not much rain to talk about. Potentially, again, some drizzle or showers left over, but nothing that would be a complete washout in the morning. And then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, pretty similar story as the morning. But moving into tomorrow evening, we look for those rain chances to return back into the mid-Atlantic, although nothing crazy, maybe some light mountain snow or rain showers further to the west. All right, let's go ahead and take a look now at New England. Again, right now, currently dealing with some rain moving through the region, especially into the southwestern parts of New England and into a place like upstate New York. But as we move this ahead into time, once we get into the overnight tonight, most of that precipitation will begin to move up here into northeastern New England, and with that, we will be running into problems with maybe some icy, snowy conditions, and I'll bring that back a little bit for you. But once we go into about sunset tonight, that should begin, and again, this will not be a widespread area impacted by this winter precipitation, but in extreme northern parts of New England, we could be dealing with that. Sorry about that. But again, as we go into the overnight, we look for some of that ice and snow to impact some areas in extreme northern New England. And that's why we have that winter weather advisory. But as we get into tomorrow afternoon, should begin to clear out, mostly some leftover cloudy, drizzly weather, but nothing too insane to talk about there. And then again, as we go into your Thursday night and into Friday, look for some light rain and snow showers to move back into the region before clearing out going into your Saturday. Taking a look here at the Midwest now, again, just still locked in with this low pressure system here, producing some snow into regions here of the Midwest. But luckily, as we go finally into tonight and as we work into Thursday here, that low pressure finally begins to start working out of the region. So precipitation should begin to calm down, but I wouldn't rule out some flurries during the day Thursday, and maybe some enhanced areas of light snow right over where this low pressure, treks through the region, but definitely clearing out compared to what we've been looking at going into your Thursday and Friday before a lot clearer conditions going into this weekend. All right, so I will show you the high temperature and low temperature for tomorrow. Again, pick your location here and just compare it to the color coding, but across the southeast here, still 60s as we're still locked into relatively warmer conditions, and then, cooler temperatures as you get further north, with some kind of cloudy, dreary conditions into the northeast, with temperatures getting kind of locked into the 40s and 50s there, and then below freezing into Maine, where we will likely see some of that snow overnight and into tomorrow. Low temperatures for tomorrow, getting back below freezing in a lot of areas, and even 40s working their way down to the southeastern coast as well as the Gulf Coast, but that freezing line here in blue, everywhere north of that is below freezing, just to give you an idea of that. All right, so now let's go ahead and talk about the next system that will begin to move through, and then we'll start talking about the chance of snowier weather across the east going into the future. So as we begin to continue to move ahead here, getting into this weekend, we've talked about all of this so far, but Friday afternoon here, again, much clearer here across the southeast and mid-Atlantic, some leftover showers and snow showers here into New England for your Friday afternoon. But once we get into Saturday, we begin to clear out across the eastern areas here of the country. However, we do have that next system beginning to form here through the Kansas City region. And with that, here on the GFS, that brings it here through the Midwest, producing potentially some light snow through a bit of swath kind of through this area on the GFS, and then some rain showers on the southern end of that going into the southeast. So this is Sunday afternoon here, could potentially be dealing with some light rain and snow showers here through the northern mid-Atlantic and Midwest, and then some light rain showers moving through the southeast here as we get into Sunday. And then once we get through the beginning of next week, that system tries to finally work its way off the coast. The GFS is a bit more bullish on this than most models, bringing snow pretty far north and having it a little bit heavier than some of our other models show. But either way, whatever does fall will begin to move out as we get into the beginning of next week throughout much of the East Coast. So that's the GFS model. I'll show you the Euro model as well for that same system, so I'll go ahead and move it ahead to right here getting into Saturday. Again, that low pressure getting going here around the Kansas City area, and then that will begin to push off further to the east going into Saturday afternoon. And then as we get into Sunday afternoon here on the Euro, you can tell a much weaker system, just less precipitation in general, but still those same general areas that the GFS showed will be seeing some of that rain, including the southeast here, and then even maybe some light snow and rain working through the swath of the Midwest through the Philadelphia area. All right, so with this system, again, nothing crazy, but we could see a light swath of snow here through these general areas. I would expect only an inch or two in the highest spots, but locally more of a dusting throughout a lot of these areas that do see snow from that system. All right, so let's start talking long range now about the chance of this winter weather returning to the east. So I'll go ahead and move this ahead. This is This is going into this weekend. These are the Euro ensembles, I should add. So these are all of the model runs of the Euro put together and showing us the average. This is that system I'm talking about for this weekend. It's hard to see here again because it's going to be a very weak system, but this little bit of lighter shading here will be that low pressure, and you can see that tries to trek here through the east, again not causing too many problems at all. But what we get after that is what is going to be a lot more interesting. So as we get through next week, this is about a week out here, the Euro ensembles now try to develop a system here along the southeast coast. So this could be round one of potentially some kind of winter weather through the east. And the Euro begins to work that off the coast. And then as we get into about the 7 to 10 day period, so this is still a bit more than a week out, we get another storm signal here through the southeast. And then what the Euro does with that is tries to really deepen that off the southeast coast and then potentially move that a little bit further up the coast. So you can tell here we're getting multiple storm signals now that we can look at and track. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the GFS ensembles now. Again, this is going into this weekend. Very kind of difficult to tell, but the storm is generally going to be in here on the GFS as well. But again, once we get past that, we start getting into the middle of next week. GFS here also develops one system about a week out here along the southeast coast. The GFS has been a little bit more bullish on this in terms of developing it and moving it up the coast. We'll watch out for that trend. But then once again, same thing on the GFS here, develops another system here on the southeast coast, getting into the 7 to 10 day period. And then again deepens that much like the Euro and tries to work that out going past 10 days. So we're definitely now at the point now where we have different storm signals to track, and we're getting some agreement between our models, which is something really good to see at this range. Now that we're getting into the 7 to 10 day region, we can definitely watch, or time frame, excuse me, we can definitely watch the trends and see if this is going to trend further up or further down. So let's go ahead and look at another map I like here. I'll go ahead and explain this one. This is the chance of seeing at least an inch of snow within a 24-hour period. So the brighter the colors here, the higher chance there is of seeing that. And then the areas where you just see white is pretty much a zero chance of seeing that. So we'll go ahead and move this ahead in time. This is that current system that is working its way through the northeast here. Again, the chance of, maybe some snow. But as we get into this weekend, we get that lighter system to move through, and you can see some areas here flaring up, but nothing off the chart here. These are just between 10 and 20% chance of seeing an inch of snow going through this weekend. Then as we get into the beginning of next week, again, we get that first storm signal, although it looks like the chances of snow with that are very low here in general, but some areas, potentially into the mountains here, getting a slight signal of some snow with that one. But once we move out to that next system, which I'm a bit more intrigued by going into later next week, we really see some of these numbers start to flare up here across the east, all the way from the southeast up to the northeast. While these numbers are not off the charts for this to be about 7 to 10 days out, some encouraging numbers here, getting close to even past 50% here throughout some of the Appalachian Mountains, especially the further north you get into the mountains. And into the northeast here, a pretty good signal of generally 20 to 30% chance of seeing that accumulating snowfall. But that signal even goes all the way down here into the southeast a bit. So we're definitely going to watch this one. I think this is by far the best chance we've had at seeing accumulating snow throughout these regions since we had that super cold blast back during Christmas. So I'll show you the same map, but with the Euro ensembles now. Again, with that system this weekend, Euro ensembles potentially showing that swath of snow in that general area I've been pointing out here from Illinois through West Virginia. So we will watch out for that. But as we get into the beginning of next week, again, a bit of a signal here potentially into the mountains. Nothing crazy, nothing off the charts, but we'll see if we can trend that higher. But again, once we get into later next week, the Euro, much like the GFS, brings this signal of snow across the east. And I mean, you're even getting upwards of past 20, or excuse me, yeah, about past 20% here, even down into a place like parts of South Carolina, North Carolina, and especially into the mountains here, getting that signal for snow. So confidence is growing, at least here, that we will get some kind of storm system to try to work its way through the east in the 10-day general time period. So super exciting stuff there. I'm excited to see if we can get those chances to trend even higher. And obviously we have a lot of time to look at it, but definitely the best signal we've seen since Christmas time. So that is all I have for today's video. Again, like the video if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe for the latest updates as we continue to monitor this threat and see which general direction it trends up or down. But hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.